booties for black girl nerds.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for your time. I really love the show.
Hi.
There was so much that was relatable to me as a child with parents from the South. Very, very similar hospitality and just customs that you don't know until you are in it for sure. Yeah. So I thank you for chatting with me. Even beginning with you, what's refreshing about this is seeing from a different perspective things that happen, microaggressions, the immigrant experience, and adjusting. Creating a safe space at work to be able to talk about these things fully can be tricky given our environment, trying to be sensitive to other people's point of view. How did you kind of craft that safe space for the actors?
Yeah, well, we were really lucky to have Zoe and all the Saldana sisters producing. Like their North Star was authenticity. You know, they were like, we want, a Latina director. We want an authentic cast that represents this community. All of the details at the pilot, we searched high and low for this Dominican beer that Dominicans will know if it's a wrong beer, you know what I mean? So, the cafetera versus the Mr. Coffee, and so I think, and I remember when we were casting too, those conversations, when it's coming from Zoe and myself, that matters. Mm-hmm. The studio listened, we guided them. We're like, look, it has to be this. Our community will get upset if it's not this. Our community is going to cheer if it's this. And so when you have a seat at the table, it obviously makes a difference at the end of the day. And that's why, having all of these Latinos behind the camera matters, because then what you get in front of the camera is reflective of that authentic experience.
I truly enjoyed it. And, I got a chance to see the first 4 episodes and they really flew through for me. Olivia, you are so talented. Thank you. You are a wonderful actress. I really, really, really enjoyed you and what you brought to Cucu. What do you think? She seems to kind of be navigating this whole experience a little bit better than the rest of the family. She has some sort of internal insight that makes her go. What do you think she knows that they don't, that's allowing her to navigate a little better?
I think that she knows that whatever people say won't matter, because who are they to her? They're people that she'll never know, because family is more important than some random strangers at school or trying to fit in at school. You be who you want to be at school. You don't try and be like the popular girls. You have your hair straight every day. You have different nails every week. Like you have different outfits. Like you wear what you want. You dress how you want. You look how you want to look. You act how you act. And nobody can change that. And I feel like fitting into certain people or acting like the popular kids at school, like having your nails done differently every week, having different outfits every day, having your hair done this like straight every day. But I feel like she knows that it's not that. It's be who you want to be, not be a leader, not a follower.
And that's a word. Thank you very much. Exactly. I get that. I have curly hair too. When I started working on this side, people kept telling me, oh, you better straighten your hair. It doesn't look professional to wear it on camera curly and stuff. So I received that, young lady, that is a word. Thank you so much. Diana, and what was so wonderful about your character, your portrayal for me is that the mother is the heartbeat and the place of comfort, but mom is living in real time, just like everybody else. What do you think that navigational road is like for moms in that position, trying to hold the family down, trying to create home in this whole new space and kind of balance the old and the new?
I think that for Adela, coming from so much and downsizing to a lifestyle that she did not expect, she assumed so much that the American dream was going to look bigger, shinier, more exciting, more adventure. And it was not that. However, she still believes in her family. She still believes in her husband and believes in herself, even though she's challenged along the way, not having her community, her brothers and sisters, her family there. She's still trying. She's like a Cucu at school. She's trying to make new friends and trying to fit in. And what do you do for on the weekends? What do you do here as women? And that, I think, is just a challenge for women in their story, in their journey in life. Every decade is a new one, and we're rediscovering ourselves. And it's not about where you tell me to fit in. It's about where I feel best in my skin. And I love that with all of that, even though Adela's walking through all of that, she has to learn how to drive the way they drive here because they don't drive the same way back there. She still doesn't lose sight of believing in her family unit and in her husband and what he's pursuing and doing for the family. And I just love that heart and that passion in this woman. I love living in that.
Mm.
Well, ladies, that is my time. I really enjoyed this. This is such it's a great little series. I hope lots of people watch it. And it's very heartwarming and very relatable no matter what. So I like that. Thank you, ladies, for your time. Thank you. Thank you all for your time. I love this series. It was really cute and relatable. My family is from the South, so I get it. The coffee thing cracked me up because you better have some water, some lemonade, something when people come by. So I love that. So Zoe, beginning with you, comedy is always a great vehicle for me to receive messages that I need to learn. So what type of discussions did you have in the writer's room about finding the right voice, the nuance, what is too much cultural norms that might be offensive today? Like, what was the fine line in writing and showing that?
I wish I can answer that question, but unfortunately, I as an executive producer, I was mainly, I was only requested whenever I needed to come and do the part that I needed. The people that were on, ground zero were my sisters, Mariela and Cicely, on behalf of Sinistar, a production company, who provided that sort of like support to Claudia and to Brigitte. But I can honestly tell you that from where I was standing, Claudia had everything she needed. She had a true story that was so close to her heart because it was her story. And she had a mission because she, as a proud Dominican, Caribbean, American, and also like a proud Gordita, like Claudia was, unabashed to tell her truth. And she trusted that was going to be relatable to so many people. And finding someone like Brigitte that as a showrunner gave Claudia that support, but also provided all that experience in the writer's room. They were so good to go. So they only would need to call me anytime they needed me to do whatever it was that I was doing, from I was busy playing Gamora and busy keeping my 3 sons from drowning and things like that. I'm like, what do you need, mommy? Okay, who do I call? Tell me. From where? Sony, HBO, or who? Okay, I'll be right there, baby. I'll be right there. Hi, how you doing, mommy? How you doing? Like, that was where I was needed. And obviously today, to tell everybody that on June 23rd, Thursday, HBO Max, please watch Gordita Chronicles. You don't know this, but trust me when I tell you, you need it.
I agree. I really, really loved it. And I could relate to so many things in the storytelling. I saw about the first 4 episodes, and they were so easy to get through. Juan, over to you. I love the struggle is sometimes we don't get a lot of the male perspective, or just the primary breadwinner in the home going back into the workforce. Not only a new culture, but just a whole new energy of how people do business. So when you think of stories maybe your family have shared about code switching in the workplace, what that might look like, what kind of stories do you remember from your own family about making that adjustment?
Absolutely. There's so much to Victor's story that I relate to. It's the story of my parents. My parents came to Florida in 81 from Puerto Rico. My father's Cuban. And I mentioned this recently, that when my father was in Puerto Rico, his name was Juan Cardenas, and he arrived in Florida and it's Juan Cardenas. So you already start to kind of adjust, and you try to, But in all that kind of adjustment, the point is that you're there because you want the absolute best for your kids, and you're willing to kind of put your nose down and to kind of go through as many challenges as you can because you live for your kids. And I think that's a very relatable and a very universal thing that audiences will really love to see. But it's also very something intrinsic to Latino culture and to being a father. I'm a father myself, and I have 2 daughters, and I have a wife that I love very much that I couldn't do anything without her. So the Gordita family is very similar to mine. And I feel like a little bit of pride that I like that there's a representative of a father on camera that wakes up every morning and tries to do the best, tries to make the day a little bit better than the day before.
Gentle.
Yes, and because that's how the kind of father I want to be, and I like seeing that on camera, and I like seeing that that's represented. You know,
I love that too. My family too in the South had to change the spelling of our name. You know, similar type of thing. So I get it. And then Savannah, over to you. It's you're the older sister. You have a younger sister who you're supposed to protect, but you're navigating this new world at the same time. So there's really no wisdom to impart. So when you found yourselves, if you could be in that scenario as yourself, do you think you would have been as awkward or graceful? How do you think you would have navigated a similar type of thing?
Well, personally, Emilia is a lot more bold than I am. You know, she arrives and she's ready, kissing boys, making friends. She's like in there, and I feel like I'm a lot more reserved, especially in a situation like that. When it comes to like the dynamic between Emilia and Cucu, in real life, I have a younger brother, so that was pretty easy to tap into. Anytime I had to be annoyed, I would just think like, oh yeah, I'm just talking to my little brother right now. So yeah, I see a lot of myself in her. I can definitely relate. But we also have a lot of differences as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for your time. Awesome show. I really liked it, and have a great premiere, and I hope everyone loves it.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
Oh, well, you look gorgeous, and I thank you for your time. And I really, really enjoyed this series because I am too very close from my Louisiana country family, and, you know, related some of those experiences, not entirely to coming to California and making a new life, and enjoy watching the family move from the DR to Florida. I'm intrigued about the creation of a series at a time when people are so sensitive about speech, but it's so necessary to show the nuances and microaggressions that immigrants move to this country face. So how do you find the line with what could be too much, too little, depending on who the viewer is and what you want to introduce with the series?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I'll give you, I don't know if you were able to see the second episode, but great. So in the second episode, we have Cucu getting in trouble in class for speaking Spanish. Not speaking Spanish entirely, but sprinkling her speech with a few Spanish words here and there. And that was inspired by something that actually happened to me. I came to the United States at the age of 7 in 1981. And at that time, there were, I coincided with the wave of immigrants that had just come from Cuba from the Mariel boat lift. So a lot of teachers were very frustrated because suddenly they had all these students that only spoke Spanish. And I was one of them. So I got in trouble a lot for speaking Spanish, and I would get put in the corner. A couple of times I got put outside in the heat, and one day they forgot about me and I missed lunch, which was a tragedy for me back then. So anyway, and at the end, one day my mom, like, I was crying, and my mom picked me up, had to come pick me up, and she pulled me out of school for 2 days until my dad got back. My dad worked for an airline, and he was always traveling. My dad had lived in the Dominican Republic, New York, Italy, and Switzerland. So he had to learn 4 languages. So he was able to give me some tips and on how to like transition and learn a new language. So that was the real life story, which was a little bit sad. But in the room, our showrunner, Brigitte Munoz-Leibowitz, she has written on some blockbuster comedies, you know, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, People of Earth. So part of how we work together is almost everybody in the room was either an immigrant or a child of an immigrant. So we would take these real life experiences and find a way to make them funny. And that's what we did with this story. And then as far as speech, when you say speech, do you mean language?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, so in a lot of the scenes we err on the side of showing a lot of scenes in English for our audience. So we don't have to do a lot of subtitles. But in real life, at home, it was Spanish, and in school and in the outside world, it was English. So, it was sometimes difficult to make that transition, especially as a child. And in the show, the way we like to translate that is we sprinkle in some key Spanish phrases. And also Miami is a city where you naturally speak Spanglish. So we wanted to capture some of that, but also not lose the English speaking audience, because we want everybody to be able to watch this show. And we want enough phrases sprinkled in, like our catchphrase, que, which literally translated means what, but it means excuse me, or what now? So in the first episode, we do the subtitle, but by the third episode, we're hoping people will already know what it means. So we didn't subtitle it.
I love episode 2 in particular. Yeah, that was the episode. It really, they're all wonderful and funny. And I love when humor is used as a vehicle to educate people. And living in Los Angeles, I know a lot of Spanish words. A lot of people here know a lot of Spanish words as well. So I was picking up on it immediately, and just how clever it was with the microaggressions with the teacher. And then ultimately, you're going to need some assistance because this is reflective of the community. And I just love how you all interwove that within the comedy of the storytelling.
Thank you.
Over the course of the episodes, people will begin to see what happens to a lot of immigrant families when they come here, the erasure of culture, trying to assimilate and all that. Was it a challenge to try to keep those moments? Like you mentioned that in the writer's room, you always tried to find the funny to those topics. Were there times when it got a little bit too much of a heavy topic where it was difficult to navigate that kind of comedy intersectionality for it?
Yeah, sometimes with our season finale, I don't want to give anything away, but Cucu is told that she can't do something because she's gordita, because she's chubby, and that was a sad moment. And and just thinking back to all the things that I was told I couldn't do. We had a couple of other writers in the room that were also gorditos growing up, and they were told they couldn't do something. So that was very emotional, and it's something that really hurt in the moment. And we, with Brigitte and some of the higher level writers, it was a lot of hard work, because this show is not only a comedy, but it has a lot of heart, and it also has a lot of, what we're hoping is authentic experiences, not only mine and Brigitte's, but also some of the other writers. So it's hard to balance all three. So sometimes in some of the episodes, in every episode, we like to have one or two heartfelt or sad moments that really ground us in the real experiences that people go through. And then we go back to the comedy and but there are always those moments. And the immigrant journey that we've seen depicted on television up to this point has been majorly showing more of the very small fraction of immigrant experiences, or traumatic or sad. So we were very conscious that even though we were doing stories that were inspired by real life that might have not been so funny, we wanted to always give it that light comedic heart twist with heart. And in the end, when you look back at something, some of the funniest things that happen to you when you were a child, when they're happening to you, it feels like it's the end of the world. But when you look back on them, and that's why we have adult Cucu, as the voiceover, done so beautifully by Dasha Polanco. And that's why we have her kind of looking back. So when you're going through it, it's oh my God, all the emotions. Oh, there's a tragedy. My school photo didn't come out perfect. Oh my God, this is it. But when you look back on it, you can see the humor in it.
Absolutely. Why, thank you. You are marvelous. I love this series. Little Cucu is so talented, and I really enjoyed this. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, thank you so much for making the time.
Better shake your booties for black girl nerves. Better shake your booties for black girl nerves.